I'm Tim Herrera with the Sacramento County Office of Education. Thank you for watching this video. In this series of videos, we're talking about wellness, mental health, and well-being. And in this segment, we're going to talk about helping adults, parents, and families kind of care for themselves during the stressful time and taking care of yourselves during COVID-19. So for the next few minutes, we're going to offer some tips and some information that we hope that you will find useful. And we are very fortunate to be joined by Dr. Ryan Quist, who is the Behavioral Health Director for the County of Sacramento. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Now, the county has put together a series of tips and information, and we're going to go over some of those tips for you. And again, we hope that you will find it all useful. So in this time when it's highly stressful, one of the very first tips that you offer adults is spend time in places that feel safe and comfortable as much as possible. Explain why that's important.
So we have a lot of disruption to our normal everyday patterns and routines, and that's led to stress. And so one of the things I'd like to point out is it's not a matter of if you feel stressed, it's a matter of when you feel stressed, because we have all experienced changes to our routines. So we're all going to be feeling some stress. So one of the best things you can do is include places that are familiar to you in order to help you be in a comfortable place and be someplace where you feel safe and with people that you know and love.
It's a little challenging now because there are a lot of places that people can't go. But there are places, even with social distancing, that you can go to and feel a little bit of safety.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, you can still go outdoors. You just have to maintain that 6 feet of distance. And being outdoors is extremely therapeutic. Get a little bit of sun, get a little bit of fresh air. I mean, that's just a great way to take care of yourself.
And stress is normal. It's a normal part of our lives. Mm-hmm. And when we're dealing with normal stressful situations, we don't really realize, because we've just kind of absorbed it and we're used to functioning that way. What about when the stress is heightened, though? That makes things really different. How should people cope with that?
Well, first, one of the things we really recommend is this concept of mindfulness. And mindfulness means basically that you're being self-aware. You know, how are you reacting to the situation? Are you feeling impatient or frustrated with everything? Are you withdrawing, where you're shutting down and wanting to remove yourself from the people around you? You know, listen to what your body's doing and pay attention to it and realize that it's not your fault. This is a function of the situation. You're responding to these stressful situations.
Okay. Another tip that you offer adults is tell yourself that how you are feeling is a normal reaction and that it will pass.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you make a break to your routine, when you don't have control over it, you know that you're going to feel stressed out in that situation. So we all just need to recognize that this is a normal situation that we're all going to be able to get through.
And really, it's knowing that there's an end in sight is really what people kind of look forward to, and that does kind of help them cope a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, important part is all of us supporting each other and helping each other in these situations, and recognizing that others around you are also experiencing these same stressful situations, and that they're going to react similarly as you are, sometimes differently, sometimes similarly, but we need to be understanding of each other as we're going through these difficult times.
Well, the next point that we want to bring up is to reach out to your usual supports. Explain why that's important, and how do you do that? Because a lot of people may be reluctant to really express themselves. How do some people cope with that?
Yeah, well, so we've all been asked to stay at home, and so that automatically creates some barriers for us to stay connected with each other. But this is the time to use all of the great technology that we have available to us. And remember to reach out and talk to each other, check in on each other, use this as an opportunity to text, call, especially think about folks who have special needs that you might be able to reach out to. These are ways that you can stay in touch with people around you, and it helps you to feel better when you help others. And so this is a way for you to do both, help yourself and help others.
And so when you're talking to someone and to help them feel better, it's actually also supporting you.
It is.
You're supporting yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So another tip that you tell people is to keep to usual routines. these are unusual times. So how can people face that challenge and do that?
Yeah, the most important thing is the first most important thing is your sleep schedule. So when we're staying at home more, we might be tempted to stay up a little bit later and sleep in a little bit longer because we don't have to be any place, first thing in the morning. And maybe a little bit of that's okay, but you want to try to keep to that full 8 hours of sleep and try to keep it pretty consistent schedule. That's the first important one. Second one is mealtime. We might be tempted to do snacks and things like that, but you'd be amazed at how good it feels to have a routine around meals as well.
Okay. And another important tip that you tell people is to be active and stay active.
Absolutely.
Why is that so important? I think we know the answer, but sometimes we need that reinforcement.
Yeah, if we're just holding still, I mean, we're not moving around as much, right? We have opportunity to maybe just sit down on the couch or at your desk at home or whatever it is. We want to make sure that we remember to stay active. We know that your physical activities keep, it helps you feel better. So take a walk around the block, go for a jog, walk your dog, do some activities that keep you moving and keep you active.
I think for a lot of adults too, and maybe this is just my opinion, but I think sometimes adults feel that they're invincible and that nothing's bothering them, and they're focusing on their children, or they're focusing on maybe their older parents that they're taking care of. We're not invincible.
No.
How do we come to that realization? How do we reach out for help if we need it? Why is that so important?
Yeah, again, this is, it's not a matter of if you're going to feel stressed, it's when you're going to feel stressed. We're all going to feel stressed in these situations. And if we're not being self-aware of how our bodies are reacting and trying to fool ourselves that we're not reacting with stress in this situation, it's probably going to actually result in us experiencing even more stress. So most important is to recognize when we're feeling stress and, do something about that. What is it? Do you need to take a deep breath, sit down and relax for a minute? Is it you need to go talk to somebody about your feelings? And, a lot of times it's difficult for us to talk about our feelings. Sometimes it might feel embarrassing that we're experiencing these feelings, and it's important that we're not embarrassed. This is what everybody's experiencing. Another way you can think about it is that you're reaching out to check with other people about how they're feeling and reassure them that you're feeling the same way too, and that we're going to get through this together.
Now, you mentioned earlier on about mindfulness. Kind of explain a little bit of detail what that means, and how can an adult, how can a person who's feeling stress, practice that mindfulness to kind of help calm themselves down and help them cope with things a little bit better?
Yeah, so mindfulness, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of great trainings we probably find online. The main idea, though, is that you're listening to your body. Is your heart rate up a little bit? Are you feeling a little jittery? Feeling a little steam, at the moment, a little hot in the head. What is it that's your body's telling you at that moment? And then listen to it and pay attention to it, express it, and then help yourself move back towards a more calm and neutral sort of a situation.
So what are some of the things people need to recognize in themselves as we're in this very stressful time? What are some red flags that people should look for so they can kind of check themselves to deal with the anxiety that they're feeling right now?
Well, some of the things you can look for are things like the speed of your talking. Are you talking faster than normal? Are you talking over the top of people where you're not allowing them to be part of the conversation? And this would be a normal sort of reaction if you're feeling sort of anxious about a situation, is you might be trying to go super fast with your processing of the information. So just take a minute and slow down the conversation, and do some listening. Really listen to what the other people around you are telling you too. You can be the person that's supporting them in this situation as well.
And be self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
Be self-aware. So check your own feelings while you're checking the feelings of others, and realize that you're not invincible, and that it's okay to feel this way because it's just normal.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Well, before we let you go, we have some resources we want to put on the screen for you that we think you'll find very helpful. There's the Mental Health Access Team. If people feel the need to call, there are a couple of numbers on your screen that will be very helpful to you. There is alcohol and drug services. There are separate numbers for adults and for youth under 18. If you feel you need their help, please feel free to call them. And for updates on COVID-19, we encourage you to check out the Department of Health Services website with the County of Sacramento. And also there is an email address that you can send questions to, and that's covid19@saccounty.net, where you can send your questions. Ryan, before we let you go, what can you think of one final tip that you really want to tell adults of how they can deal with this stress right now? What's the best thing they can do to not only get themselves through it, but others as well?
I think out of everything we've talked about, the most important thing is to stay connected, and that's something that we're really trying to get the word out on. We have all this great technology available to us. Use it. Reach out to people, support each other, reach out to somebody who might be in need. You know, if you have an opportunity, somebody who might need a meal sent to them, send a meal to them. Be supportive of each other.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for all your time and the tips that you've offered. We know that people will find it helpful. We've been speaking with Dr. Ryan Quist, who is the Behavioral Health Director for the County of Sacramento. Ryan, thank you for your time, and thank you for these tips and this information.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.